everyone, and welcome to Stamp and Chat Live. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. Tonight we're going to have some fun because we're going to revisit an old technique that I love so much. And I tend to bring this technique out at Christmas time because it creates such a soft look, and I always feel like it kind of resembles snowfall, just that peaceful wintry feel. And that is the Emboss Resist technique, but then I'm going to add a little bit of colored pencil and Gamsol on top. Now, before we get started, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom.
Hey, crafty folk. How you doing?
You look nice and warm over there. I'm a little chilly.
Oh, well, you want me to go get you some garb?
No, not at all. In fact, when Rena was here last time and we were standing next to each other, she said, "Mom, do you wear that shirt every day?" And I said to her, "No, I read a book about Steve Jobs." And I saw that he wore the same black turtleneck, like he had a whole bunch of them, black turtlenecks every day, so he didn't have to think about what to wear in the morning and he could focus more on fun and creative things. So I have 8 of these, and I do put the same shirt on every day, but it's clean. But sometimes, I get in the mood to dress up and then I pull out the dressy clothes. I don't know. But today I realized that these short sleeves aren't going to cut it anymore. We're getting chilly here in Wisconsin.
Maybe a hot toddy.
Ooh.
Getting out of fruit salad season.
Yeah, into hot toddy season. We still have to figure out exactly how to make one of those.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Well, are you going to be back later with a word of the day?
I think so.
All right. Well, we'll get into this, and then when I'm coloring, I know we're gonna be talking, so that will be a perfect time for you for your word of the day.
All right then.
All right, everybody. Well, let's get started right away. The stamp set that I'm going to use today did sell out during our Christmas release, but it was reordered right away, and it's being manufactured and should be back in stock very, very soon. It's this one right here. This is the Christmas Poinsettia, the Poinsettia Background by Gina K. I am a little close here. Let's pull back a little bit. There we go. And this background stamp is so beautiful. I've seen so many gorgeous cards made with it, and I thought, hey, what the heck? I'll make one tonight. So I am going to start with this stamp, and then some of the things that I'm going to need for my Emboss Resist technique are a piece of cardstock, and I have a big piece of cardstock here. This measures 5.5 by 5.5, and that's going to be the perfect size for just plopping right on here. I also need an extra piece of cardstock. So I just happen to have this prickly pear here. You don't have to use something this good. You can use a piece of copy paper if you want. And then I'm going to use my embossing magic pad. And I'm going to rub that all over the surface of this piece of cardstock to eliminate any oil or anything getting kind of, sitting on the surface of the cardstock that might absorb embossing powder. Or stick, embossing powder will stick to it. It also gets rid of some of the static, and this is static season, so these are more important than ever. And I love this. I always use this little tool. It's really powdery, and that's what I like about it. You don't have to work very hard to get the powder out. Plus, it's really good. It gets on your fingers a little bit, and it makes it easy to let go of stamps when you're trying to place them. So then I have the Gina K Designs Embossing and Watermark ink. You can use any ink for this as long as it is either a pigment ink or a very slow drying ink. So Versamark is also an embossing and watermark ink. These are just slow drying, and that's what you want because you need time to be able to get the embossing powder on there. So I'm going to ink up this stamp real well with the embossing and watermark ink. Now you can see I don't have it in a misty. I don't have it in a big block or anything like that. I'm just laying it right here on its back. I didn't even take it off of the index sheet. It's still sitting here like that. Okay. I know it seems like I'm inking a lot here, and I'm not even going to use the whole thing, but I don't know what I'm going to use yet, so.
Okay, a couple of quick questions. Beautiful stamp, but when are we going to get more lives with the kit?
I'll do more lives with the kit. We've got all the way through Christmas. Okay, so now I'm going to use this piece of cardstock. Did you see I just placed that that piece of white cardstock right down onto the stamp? This makes it so much easier to get a great impression than trying to actually stamp the stamp onto the paper. You're actually stamping the paper onto the stamp. Yes, we've got lots and lots of time before Christmas to do more with the kit. Okay. So now I'm going to pull this off. There we go. And it looks like absolutely nothing here, but give me a minute and I'll make it look like something. So I'm just going to put this back. I'm really bad about cleaning my background stamps. Kind of a thing with me, but I usually clean them next time I go to use them. Not a great plan, but you know, I'm going to use a little clothespin here. And then here is my white embossing powder. This is our fine detail white embossing powder. And there's lots of detail in this stamp. So I like using the fine detail here. I don't know if you can see that at all, but you might be able to see the texture happening here in front of our eyes. Let's take a look. Okay, so I'm not even going to worry about over here because I'm not going to be using this whole thing. I didn't put embossing powder right here, but that's totally fine. All right, now I'm just going to blow away any excess. And then I'm going to get my heat tool. Now, I use the Wagner heat tool. A lot of people ask me about this heat tool because they can't seem to find this particular one anymore. Wagner still does make heat tools, but for some reason, I think it looks more like a hairdryer now. It has like a curve to it. But it's a great heat tool. The Marvy heat tool is really good. There are the Wow embossing tool is really good. Ranger has a good tool. Lots of good heat embossing tools out there. Now, I just preheated that a little bit, but before I do anything else, I am going to grab a paper towel here, and I'm going to just wipe this embossing powder that got on my table because I don't want to emboss it onto my table. Okay, so now we're going to start embossing this. There we go. I love the white on white look. It's so beautiful. I also love using gold embossing powder on our gold cardstock because the two golds are different from each other, but it's all gold and it looks so stunning. Same with the silver. And if you haven't seen that, I did a video on that not that long ago where I used our holiday tapestry stamp set and I did gold on gold, silver on silver, and then I did a mix of gold and silver, which is really fun. So if you're into embossing powders and you're into heat embossing, check out that video. If you go to my channel, you'll see all of the different embossed backgrounds on the thumbnail. And it was super, super fun to do. Okay, we're almost done. I'm going to go over it one more time just to make sure everything heated up the way I want it to. And I think it did. But just in case, sometimes you move a little bit too fast over one area. And I'm kind of looking at it and seeing where my best embossing is on here. And I think I'm going to use that area for my card. So I really like what's happening over on this side right here. Okay, looking pretty good. It all looks really good, but sometimes you look at it and you go, oh, every flower is just perfect right in here. I missed a little spot. You can always tell that you missed it because it kind of looks ragged. Alrighty, now I'm going to let this sit for a minute. And it is a little bit warpy, but that's okay. We will take care of that when we actually do our taping. We'll just add a little bit of extra tape. Okay, so I'm going to use two colors of ink here. I'm going to start with some sea glass. So let's start with that. And I'm going to do the Emboss Resist technique first. And that's where you ink over all of this and you'll start to see the images coming through. Now I have a little turquoise sea on here. So I am going to, let's see. Somebody said, am I the only one having trouble getting this? I think you're here. I see your comment. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of go over the poinsettias like this, just to bring them out a little bit. I'm not going super heavy-handed. And these are spaced pretty nicely apart.
Dorothy would like to know where you got your medical alert bracelet.
Oh, my medical alert bracelet is from a company called Lauren's Hope. They have beautiful medical alert bracelets. I mean, if you got to wear one, you might as well wear a pretty one, right? Okay, see how I'm just kind of bringing that color out? Is that clear enough to see, Tom? I know sometimes it looks brighter.
I think it looks great.
Okay, good, good, good. Let's just go right over here. I think this area right here is going to be perfect for the card that I want to do. Bring a little more in. Okay, now let's add a little bit of Applemint to that. Just a little bit, not a ton. And I'm just going to bring it in kind of around like this. See how that adds just a little bit of shading in there? Not much. We're going to really add our shading with the colored pencils. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now I am going to take my paper towel and I'm just going to rub over the surface to brighten up the white and get rid of anything that was resting on the white. Okay, a little zoom would be nice. Ooh, somebody's watching on their phone. Sometimes when you watch on your phone, it's super small, and then other people are watching it on an 87-inch flat screen television, and it's huge. So there you go. I should zoom anyway at this point because I'm going to be doing colored pencil, so I will stay zoomed in a little bit. So I apologize for those of you that are watching on the big screen because I know it's almost annoying when it's that big, but for our friends watching on a phone, they need to be able to see it too. Okay, so for our colored pencils, I am going to be using Prismacolor Pencils, and I've picked 3 colors here that I think are going to be nice. I picked Parrot Green, Grass Green, and Parma Violet. So I'm going to start with the Parrot Green, and Parrot Green is not green. It is actually a turquoise. But I'll show you the other color. Let me find it here. Let me find it. I had it. I was kind of looking at this one to use this, and this is cobalt turquoise. But you see how dark that is? I felt like this one just kind of lent itself to the softness of what's going on here. So kind of keep that in mind when you're thinking about what you want to do. And I'm also going to be using some Gamsol. Now, I have a little Gamsol left in here, but here's my bottle of Gamsol. Gamsol is an odorless mineral spirits product, and it is great for blending out colored pencils. The way I'm going to be coloring today, I'm not going to be doing a ton of shading because this image is pretty detailed and there's a lot of small parts, but I am going to be coloring over areas, and then I want those areas, like I'm going to color over most of it and you'll be able to see the pencil stroke. And then if I take a blending stump and I go over it with Gamsol, it just smooths it out. It looks a little bit more like paint. So if anybody's having trouble with the video, with the live tonight, you can always go out and try coming back in. And if that doesn't work, you can switch from Facebook to YouTube and see if that works better, or vice versa. Okay, so you see what I'm doing here? I'm just coloring this in with the colored pencil. And then let me show you what I mean about the smoothing. So I've got a blending stump here. I'm going to dip the blending stump into the Gamsol for just a second or two and let it absorb some of that Gamsol. And then I'm going to go over that with the Gamsol, and you see how it just smooths everything out so nicely. It just looks crisp. It looks almost like a Copic marker. So we're going to do the same thing, coloring up these poinsettia flowers. I'm not going to color all of them. I'm going to kind of stick to a wedge here because I'm going to trim this down. I know it's like so scary to trim something after you've already done all the coloring. You almost want to do it beforehand, and you certainly can if that stresses you out. I'm going to make it work no matter what because I have to. So, and it'll be better than horrible, and that's all that matters. So Tom, if anybody has any colored pencil questions or anything, I'm not able to look up much when I'm coloring. So I'm going to ask you to keep an eye on everything.
Had a request for a red flower.
Oh, a red flower? Yeah, it would be beautiful in red. The reason why I'm doing these in turquoise is because I'm using the Emboss Resist technique first. And you have to be mindful about what color you put on top of that blue and green. So red is not going to work over those green areas because it would turn kind of brown. And over the blue areas or the turquoise areas, it would turn kind of purpley, but more like a maroon kind of purple. So by using a color that's in the same vein as the rest of these, I'm going to get a nice bright look, but I'm not going to end up with mud or colors that don't work well together. So if you were going to do red, which I think red would be beautiful, instead of doing this combination of sea glass and Applemint, I would use more of a pink, because pink and red are going to look great together. Maybe add a little peach in there, like maybe innocent pink and peach Bellini would be a good mix for red. But you do have to worry about the leaves then, because those colors are not going to work with the leaves. So I've chosen colors tonight that are going to work with both blue colored pencil and green colored pencil for the leaves. So you do have to I would definitely, if I were you, I would do a test one and try a bunch of different colors. That's what I usually do. I'll do a test run on, the background stamp or the flower stamp, whatever I'm going to do. And then I'll just do different parts, a little section over here, pink, a little section over there, blue, and I'll try it with different colored pencils. And once I find that combination that I like, that looks good, then I go for it. I do a new card, a new panel. Oh, isn't that pretty though? The way these flowers are just popping out. Yet it's so soft because of the colors that I've chosen. It's such a soft look. And that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm going for that peaceful look tonight. Not so much bright and vibrant. Although if you want this background stamp bright and vibrant, definitely check out the Facebook group, because we had so many gorgeous card projects submitted with this stamp set. Unbelievable. Beautiful, beautiful, bright, vibrant. And our Gita did several of them with red, and it's gorgeous. So I hear you on the red. I agree. But for this technique, I was trying to find the right color combination that works with the Emboss Resist.
Couple questions. Can you put unused Gamsol back in the bottle?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I do it all the time. I mean, an artist might say, oh no, you'll contaminate it if there's any color in there. It's never been a problem for me. I just put it back. Sometimes I'll just, I used to have this cute little Menda pump, and the pump had a little lid on it, and then you could just pump Gamsol up into the little cup, and you could use the lid, and it was metal, which I like, metal and glass, but you couldn't travel with it. That was the only downside. You couldn't travel with it. So I started using a little jar so that I could take it with me when I travel. And I don't mean on an airplane. I mean like, driving to somebody's house to craft together. I started doing that. Oh, these are coming out so nice. I love the color. Don't you love the color here?
And alternatives to Gamsol.
So some alternatives to Gamsol are, there's something called lavender spike oil. There's also something called Zested. And my favorite of those two actually is the Zested. It's made from oranges, and I believe it's very popular in the UK. So it's natural, and it works very well. I've tried it, and I really liked it. So those are the alternatives. Some people will say use baby oil. I personally don't have good results with baby oil, and my card stays oily. So it's not one that I personally recommend or love, but it does seem to work for some people. So you could give that a trial if you just happen to have baby oil at home. At least you won't have to buy it to give it a try. But I just find that the card itself stays oily, and it kind of does smell like baby oil, which isn't a bad smell, but it's a smell. Odorless mineral spirits doesn't really have a smell. But you want to use the Gamsol brand, or I think Crafter's Companion actually either has a odorless mineral spirits product or they had one. And that's really good too. I've used that and that's really good. I think Inky Antics has one as well. I don't know if they're still in business. I know I'm dating myself when I talk about certain companies, but they had one as well. The thing about the Gamsol and why it's important to use that is because it's an artist grade mineral spirits. You don't want to use something that you would find at Home Depot. They do have odorless mineral spirits at Home Depot, but number one, it's not really odorless. It has a really strong smell, and it's really not made for indoor use. You're supposed to be using that outside. So my opinion is stay away from that. It's not refined the same way. It's just not the same. This is obviously it's going to be more expensive. It's an art supply. You can also buy Gamsol at some of the big stores, the brick and mortar stores, and you can buy it at Blick Art Supply as well, which, they always have all the art things. And you might be able to ask them if they have any substitutes, because I don't know all the substitutes. And they work in that environment every day. And they probably know exactly what they have that will do the same thing.
Can you repeat the colors again?
Yes. So this color is Parrot Green, but it does not look like a green. It looks like a turquoise to me. Isn't that pretty so far, how that's coming out? Love it. I always enjoy the odorless mineral spirits Gamsol projects. Okay, let's do down here. We'll just do a little bit of this because I think I'm going to cut it like right about here. I could do this one too.
Question, could you use a blender marker as an alternative to the Gamsol?
No, it won't work the same way. I know that some people put the mineral spirits into an empty marker, and some people have a lot of luck with that. I don't have as much luck with that because I feel like I can't control how much Gamsol I'm actually using. So I prefer using a blending stump, but you can put it in a marker. I think Ranger has an empty marker. I've seen some people put it in an empty Copic marker, but you want to put it in something that has not a brush flimsy kind of tip. You want something that has a strong tip, right? Because a blending stump is actually going to grab the colored pencil. It's going to pull it. So if you have a squishy tip from a marker, it's not going to give you the same result. All right, let's finish up down here. But regular blenders, I don't know, like a Copic blender pen or something like that won't work. It's just a different medium completely. And they're not interchangeable. The one thing that I did notice is that, you know, people who've struggled with watercolor or with even colored pencil or Copics, when they get Gamsol in the mix, it really makes it easy to blend out and everything just looks so smooth. And they really seem to have more luck with it when they do that. So, you know, if it's something you're thinking about trying, I just highly recommend giving it a try. It's not a super large investment, and it's going to be one of those things that you kind of get in the mood to play with, and you play with it for a while, and then you're going to forget about it, and then somebody's going to show up with a card where they're doing coloring, and you're going to go, oh, I should pull out my Gamsol again. And it's just, I don't know, it's, to me, colored pencils and Gamsol is truly a joyful way to create coloring. All right, well, we're getting done these pretty quickly here. And you can see how like the colored pencil like gets on top of the embossing powder, but then when I use the Gamsol, it cleans it all off and it just smooths everything out. And it just kind of makes it very marker-like. I love it. Here's a little spot that I missed, but I don't think you're going to see it. But just in case, got to do it. Here we go. And then I think there is a little one right here that may end up in the mix. So let's go ahead and color it in. Now you can see this is one of those spots where I have green. And if I had used red here, this would not be turquoise at all. This would be very brown and muddy. Okay, so I think I've got enough of the flowers there that if I like trim this up, I would get a good chunk of flowers. So now I'm going to do a little bit of the greens. So that one was Parrot Green. My green that I'm going to use is Grass Green. Now this barrel here is very deceptive because when I start coloring with this, you're going to see it is a very, very bright, fun green. So here's where I'm going to do a little shading on these leaves that kind of look like, it's hard to tell which direction they're going in because they're so symmetrical. But these leaves that look like holly leaves, I can do some shading on this. So I'm going to pick a different blending stump, one that's not so saturated. And I'm going to dip this in for a second to get some Gamsol on there. And then I'm going to pull this color down. So it's going to be dark green here. And then as I pull it down, it's going to get lighter. See how that shading happened in there? Isn't that pretty? And that's so easy. It just makes you look like an artist.
So Amanda said she has a hard time staying inside the lines. How do you stay inside the lines? She's a rebel.
You're a rebel? Going outside the box?
Wild child.
Well, I would definitely, I mean, you can get the Gamsol outside the lines. I think the thing is to keep your colored pencil inside the lines. And that's the trick. Because the Gamsol, you know, should only be pulling the colored pencil. It shouldn't be, you know, taking it totally outside of the lines. But the other thing is when you're working with colored pencils, one thing that's really important to do is to make sure that your colored pencil is super sharp. You want a super sharp point at the tip. And that's going to help you stay inside the lines a lot as well. Because if it's dull, you know, if it's kind of big and round, the tip, it's hard to get into the small detailed areas. But I love how that's coming out. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I know these videos, I've heard mixed messages about this kind of video. I don't do them a lot because some people say that they're boring to watch, you know, somebody coloring. But I feel personally like every once in a while it's good to bring this technique out because we always have new people who maybe haven't seen this technique before. And watching something like this sped up really fast, sometimes you don't really get the nuance of how somebody is going back over the same area a few times to kind of blend it out. I did see a question, but I just saw the word question when I looked up. I think it was about the size of the blending stumps. I do like the smaller, skinnier blending stumps better for these kinds of projects where you've got lots of little elements like leaves and berries and, you know, things like that, flowers, delicate flowers. But I like those bigger blending stumps when I want to do a little colored pencil like over a large area, maybe, you know, in the sky, creating clouds or something like that. Then I do like the bigger. Get this one down here. I'm sure I'm going to miss something, and you guys will be screaming at me where I miss it, which I love because that helps so much. And I'm not being very methodical about like working in any order. I'm just looking, and when I see a leaf, I do it. I think I might have missed a petal down here. See how there's this petal right here? I'm going to go back to that parrot because this doesn't look like any of the other leaves. I think that's supposed to be a poinsettia leaf. And if it's not, it'll look fine as a poinsettia leaf, so I'm not going to worry about it. I just need that to be colored in somehow. And you will find things that you missed along the way. All right, Tom. So we just have wonderful people here tonight. I just love looking up and seeing all of your encouragement. Thank you. I think it helps. And even if this is like a technique that maybe takes a little while to watch, it could be a good refresher for somebody that maybe hasn't done Gamsol for a while. And it also could be really helpful for somebody who loves Gamsol and just totally forgot that they bought it and it's sitting in a drawer somewhere. I see you. I see you in your big pack of Prismacolors, not coloring. That's me. But you know what's funny? If you are getting started with Prismacolor pencils and you are looking at this and going, hey, you know, those pencils are a little pricey and I can't really get a whole set. I'm telling you right now, the 3 colors that I'm using right now, you can buy single Prismacolor pencils. And the 3 colors I'm using right now, you could color tons of flower sets. Add a red and you're good to go. I mean, you could really color a lot with just, you know, under a half a dozen Prismacolor pencils, especially if you're using Gamsol. Because as you can see with these leaves, the way that I'm coloring them, I'm just putting the color at one side of the leaf, and then I'm bringing it down and fading it to a lighter shade at the other side of the leaf. That is kind of the equivalent of 2 pencils right there, right? Because you have 2 different colors of green there. You've got the dark down near the end, and then you're fading it to a lighter. So you don't need a ton. This is coming out really pretty. I like it very, very much. So now I am going to add a little bit of green. And here's the way I'm going to color these. I'm just going to color them, these little tiny leaves. I'm just going to color them. And then with my blending stump that has Gamsol on it, just fill it in. Kind of the same way that I did the poinsettias. No shading. If you want to do shading, you can. You just have to do the tiniest little dot. And if you want to see what I'm talking about, I'll show you on the next one. So you want to do just a tiny little dot, like right down there. See that little tiny dot that I just did? And then you just kind of want to pull the color out from there and just leave it. Let the rest show in blue. And that gives you more of a shaded look. But since I did my other ones that way, I'm going to add the green everywhere. Colored pencils are a more forgiving medium for me. Not for everybody, but for me. Because I just find it really easy to use one color. I'm going to color this one. I know that's not green. I know that's a blue there, but we're going to make it green. I like being able to use one pencil and have it look shaded like this. All right, Tom, they're asking for the word of the day. Very interested myself.
Okay, so Ms. Gina?
Yes?
What would you say is like the vegetable that just doesn't do it for you?
For me?
Yeah, it's like just...
Well, I have two.
Two?
Okay. I have two, and people are going to not like one of them. I mean, they're not going to like that I say one of them.
Well, everybody has their
it's
things,
always,
you know.
It's always an upcharge for it, and I'm totally fine not being upcharged. Okay, beets. That's a vegetable. I won't eat that. And then I'm not a big fan of asparagus.
Asparagus.
And I know that everybody just went, what? People are unsubscribing just because I said that.
It's an acquired taste. Okay, so if you have a vegetable that you're not a big fan of, that is today's word of the day, which is, we're talking about vegetables. All right. So if you're not a big fan of a certain vegetable, that would be a vegetable for you.
Oh my God.
And this one just came to me, but if you complain about that vegetable all the time, then it becomes a vegetable. Right?
That's great. Yes.
Vegetable. Words of the day.
Oh my gosh.
Fade to the dead space.
Oh man, I don't know where you come up with some of these. You know, Tom, there's an ongoing thing in our Facebook group where people come up with amazing words of the day. But you're not, and people are like, Tom, what about this one? But you're not on Facebook. You never go on Facebook. So you don't get to see them. So you have to think all on your own. For your words of the day. Okay, just a couple more, and then I'm going to bring some purple in. So purple lately, well, purple is one of my favorite colors, and I'll tell you why. Teal obviously is one of my favorite colors, but purple is another one of my favorite colors because it's my birthstone, and I have a lot of, not a lot, but I have, my mom and dad gave me an amethyst ring when I was little. And I don't know, it's my birthstone. Now they're changing the birthstones. I've seen like people that, you know, used to have like diamond as their birthstone, and they're like changing it up to other things. Okay, so I'm going to use a little purple here. And this purple that I'm using is Parma Violet. And just so that you guys know, I do list all of the colors of the things that I use where my video airs on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and watch this video on replay, if you just look at the description, you'll see what colored pencils I used. The thing is, the reason why I don't put them up ahead of time is because I don't necessarily know what I'm going to use ahead of time. And a lot of times I will change my mind. So I'm going to blend this out a little bit, but I'm not going to blend it completely because I want to leave that little bit of blue on the end there. Can you guys see that? Here we go. Love, love, love. Okay. So that little pop of purple really makes a difference in here. And purple isn't necessarily a Christmas color, But, you know, for the purpose of this kind of card where we're going with the soft kind of almost snowfally colors, I think purple is perfect here. I think it'll be worth it. This card, I think, is going to be pretty in the end. It's so funny. I'm so worried about you guys getting bored. But it looks like there's a bunch of you here and you're staying, so I really appreciate that. Oh, I love you guys so much. It's great. Okay, at least there's not very many of these. And I'm going to do those little berries in purple too. I could do those in red, but I'm just worried about that it's going to turn a weird color in certain spots. So I'll do them in purple just because I love the way this purple is blending out and it looks so pretty, and I feel like we need a few more pops of purple in here. So we'll just do these. Very light purple. And we'll just blend it out a little bit. That's very tiny, that spot right there. Oh, there's lots of these. Yeah, Argita did hers in red. And then I think she had in one of hers, she had these little things that I just did in purple, the bigger ones. She did those in more like a prickly pear color, like a gold, which that gold, red, and green is so stunning for Christmas. It's such a classic Christmas blend. So if you were doing something like that, you could even, a color would look really good for the Emboss Resist, I think, part is like a sandy beach behind that, because that would just be a neutral. And you could mix sandy beach with red. You could mix sandy beach with a prickly pear kind of color. And you could also mix it with green. So that would be a really good combination. See, I missed that one. I knew I'd find it. Once I started getting all of these colored, that's when you start to see that big obvious spot that doesn't have any color. Takes a while, but my blending stump, if it gets a little dry, you definitely want to reactivate it, because you can see I have not been dipping very much. But these kinds of cards right here, these are, these are for your card-worthy people, right? These are the ones that you're going to send to the people. Like my mom obviously was very card-worthy. I'm putting purple in the center here. My mom obviously was very card-worthy, but I think I've told you guys this before. When my mom passed away and I was helping my sister clean her apartment, we found a box, and inside the box was a bunch of pictures and everything, and also all the cards that I had ever made her. And if you think for a minute that the cards that you're making aren't appreciated by people in your life, they are. They may not say it, but they keep them. And my mom always did say, like, the handmade cards were a keeper. So never get discouraged if it seems like somebody isn't really appreciating your cards, because they do, no matter what they do. Okay, I just need to find that green blending stump to finish that one up, and I think we're done with this. And we're going to start turning this into a card. So take a look at that up close. Isn't that so nice? Did I miss one in the center? Oh, I did. Thank you. Yes, I did. There we go. It's like when you hit the Gamsol over it, it just melts all the little bit of purple down into those tiny little holes. Okay. I know, isn't it amazing when you see, like, sometimes, because my mom always said, the size of the card meant the size of the love. And I thought, well, she doesn't like my cards because they're little A2 cards. But then I found them all. and she had saved them. So they did mean a lot to her. Although I did make her a lot of bigger cards because I knew that she loved those big cards. All right, now here's where we all kind of hold our breath together because I am going to trim this down. I'm going to take just a little bit off of this edge right here first, just a tiny bit. I'm going to take a little bit off the other side just to clean it up because I want to look at it. And then a little bit off the top, just a little bit, because we want to get a nice crisp line. Okay. So now let's see. I want to find, don't you feel like maybe even a lovely lavender card base might look so pretty with this? Wouldn't those colors look really pretty together? This is the unconventional Christmas card today. So I guess what I want to do first is I want to cut a card base. And I think we're going to try this lovely lavender because it is such a beautiful color. And one that I don't use enough even in the spring. But for some reason, when it comes to Christmas and I'm doing snowflakes and soft stuff like that, I pull this color out. All right, so I'm going to score that at the 4 1/4 inch mark. Okay, now you know I'm going to add a pop of black in here because I can't make a card without black. But I want to cut it down to about here. So let's get the paper cutter. We're going to cut it down to at least where we finished coloring it. So right about here. So that's 3 7/8 of an inch, which is just fine. I hate to cut this off, but okay. And now we're going to cut this down to, we're going to go about 5 inches. I'm going to cut a little off of this side and then a little off of this side. So 5 inches. So that will go across the card here like this. And then we're going to add a little pop of black around that to frame it out. So let me find some black cardstock. I don't know where all my big pieces, oh, I know where they went. But I have a damaged piece here. I'm just going to cut it at 5 inches. See, I have a damaged piece somehow. Sometimes when our cardstock gets cut in the machine, or when it comes, we've got like a big sheet that has a part that is all crinkled like that. And so they gave me all those pieces to use in my videos. All right, so we're going to go a little bit. I'm going to cut a strip down here. Let's see. This was 2 7/8. So we're going to make this 3 inches. That should be the right size. That'll give me a nice little frame there. Okay. And then we're going to make that 5 1/8 of an inch. So that should be really close. It has a little dent in it, but you won't see it when I put this on here. So that should look pretty close. That doesn't. So I don't know which one is wrong. It could be, let's try to look at this. I think it's this black piece that's not straight. I could be wrong. Let's look at this one. It's that 7/8 that's hard to cut. That's why I like master layouts for everything, but I don't have one this size. Maybe another set. Okay, that looks good. We're going to make it a little bit thinner on this side. Just a little big. But that's because I trimmed that up so it was straight. So I think this is going to do it. Yep, that looks pretty good. Okay, let's tape this down together. Now remember, I feel like every video, I mean, I make so many cards, but every video is when I run out of my tape. So let's change it up. Tape refill. This is my last refill, by the way. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll be doing Connect Glue until our refills get back in stock. They've been out of stock for a while because they're out of stock at ThermoWeb. So I have to start conserving a little bit. I love the coloring on this. It's just so soft and pretty. And then if we put this onto the card there, then we can add just a delicate stamped greeting. So let's find a greeting. We can always bring it down if we want. Let's find a greeting. So I'm going into the kit, and I feel like something in here would be really appropriate. Maybe we'll do this Merry Christmas right here. Ooh, how about this? Because it's a little bigger. Celebrate the joy of the season. We could stamp that right down here, and then we could slide this down just a little bit. Okay, let's use this one right here. Looking for something very delicate. Now, we could go with a bigger greeting if we wanted to. I have two Misties in here, and they're stuck together because of the magnet. We could go with a much bigger greeting, but here's my opinion, and I really need to make a card with this set because I love it so much. But in this case, I feel like it's really pretty, but I think it's a little cartoony, if you know what I mean, for this, right? I mean, we could cut it out and pop it on top a little bit. I don't know, maybe it's not bad. What do you guys think? Do you like a greeting like this? Do you like something even bigger, like this, where we cut it out? And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's too cartoony, too large, right? Yeah, I agree. Okay, good. We're all on the same page. So we're going back to this delicate thing that we're talking about. I'm going to hold this down with the magnet. Now, I do want to position this so I know where I want this to go. I don't have to commit 100%, but I kind of want it to be there. And then I can look at this, and I think that would be a really pretty place for it. So celebrate the joy of the season. Yeah, I think you guys are all right. I think this is just more elegant. If I had a really big, simple greeting, and I'm sure I do in one of the other stamp sets, but I know you guys want to see more stuff with the current stuff, so I definitely want to use what's current. Okay. So let's see how straight this is. I'm going to pull this off. And we're going to stamp it right on here. Here we go. Let's just see if it's straight. That looks pretty straight. The Misty's crooked, but that looks pretty straight to me. Okay, so that's where we're going to stamp it. And I do have to clean this so I don't forget. Get my tidy towel. Just clean that off. So I'm going to stamp this more than once. And, you know, the colored cardstock is not as smooth as our white cardstock. It's smooth cardstock, but it's not quite as smooth as the white. I don't think there's any cardstock out there that's as smooth as our white. And so I don't like to squish a stamp on cardstock that's not, I don't like to squish a stamp. So I like to stamp it more than once to get that real delicate print, but you still get it nice and black this way. That looks pretty good, right? I do love this color. I mean, it's such a nice color and different for Christmas. Okay, so we'll put this away. My squeaky Misty. I'm going to need a different Misty, or I need oil for it. Okay. Here we go, our little colored pencil piece. And now we can move that wherever we want, wherever it feels best based on the greeting. So I feel like we could move it down just a little bit. I also feel like this is just a little big right here. Do I dare? Oh my gosh. Do I dare? I'm going to try it. Okay. Scary. This is scary, but I'm going to do it. That's what came off. That might be all I need, though. I need a tiny bit more. Oh my goodness. This is where we all sweat. Okay. I think that did it. So I think I'm going to move it down just a little bit. All the strings that I just cut off. And I think that is a super fun little card. Do I like it this way better? I don't know. I think I'll make it this way better. So we're bringing it down just a little bit. And there we go. There's that simple card. I know. I wish the cutter had 1/8 inch marks too. It does have 1/8 inch marks. They're really tiny. You can see them there. But I need a 1/16. That's what I need, because I don't know what this is. That's a thin hair. That's what that is. There needs to be a marking on here that says thin hair. All right, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see the coloring a little more. Zoom in. There we go. Is that blurry over there, Tom, or is that looking okay?
It looks good.
Okay, now we could put a few little sequins in here if we wanted to. Let me find them. Where'd they go? My goodness. But it have to be really tiny ones, like the micro disco ball ones, because they're super tiny. You know, maybe just put a few of them in there. Oh, that does look pretty. Yep, there's some spots here that these would look really good. Definitely right here. There's like a little opening there. Maybe up here. Maybe I'll just get some glue and just go for it. So we're going to give this card away tonight, Tom.
Yay.
Let me get my glue. I just pulled the pin completely out by accident. So let me just put that back in. Okay, there we go. So I'll put one up here and definitely one here. One here. I mean, just randomly, just so that it sparkles when you turn it. Put a tiny one here. And then we could put one there. Maybe one over here. We'll see how that looks. I might add more. Because these tiny little micro disco ball ones, I love them so much because they're so, I'm just giving it a second to set the glue. It'll be so much easier to drop the sequins on. If the glue is just a little tacky, like that one wasn't yet. There we go. To wait a minute. I'm too impatient. Are you guys impatient? You get excited about like what you're doing and you're like, oh no, it's going to look so good. I can't wait. That's me right now. Like a little kid. Just very excited to see the sequins. These are so tiny, these micro disco ball sequins, that it just gives you that little shimmer, but they're not overbearing in any way. Just a couple more. They are really tiny, though. I saw somebody using our little tweezers to do this for the really tiny sequins. That would work, too. See, once the glue starts drying, that's really when you want to do it, but you have to have patience, which I do not have. Oh, that is nice. Here we go. See them on there sparkling a little bit. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. Odd number. Going for the odd number. Kathy Zilski would be proud of me to do an odd number. Okay. Well, there we go, Tom. Let's give her away.
All right. Cheesy drum roll, please.
Okay, here we go.
And the winner is Denise Rigitano.
Denise,
Rigitano.
Congratulations. Just send your name and address to info@GinaKDesigns.com and I'll get this out for you. All right, everybody. Got to tell you something. Thursday, something really exciting is coming. I am so excited about it. I've been working on it all week. Well, all last week in the warehouse. And we are very excited. So we are going to be releasing something brand new on Thursday at noon Central Time, right here on Stampin' Chat Live, our Crafternoon edition. So I just encourage you to tune in because I think it's going to be super fun and you guys don't want to miss it. Of course, you'll be able to watch the video on replay as well, but it's always so much fun when you're here in the comments with us. So that's going to happen at noon on Thursday, and we can't wait to see you for that. In the meantime, everybody, stay safe and healthy. Thank you all so very much for joining us. We love you so much, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.